The reason I'm so excited is that we're finally here with the session where we give you that tool, that communication method that you can say whatever you want. And others will not only instantly understand you, but they'll feel your feelings. Well, you're going to get a lot more. You're going to be able to praise people with this method, and they're going to remember what you've said for their entire life. I mean, you're going to go deeper into intimacy. At work, wherever you are, you can use this method, and people are going to remember what you've said, and they're going to understand you. And so it's an exciting time. But we're going to give you a bonus. We're going to have some couples, and they're actually going to use this method, and they're going to apply it right in front of you, because the researchers in the marriage and family area have found out that if we can see couples applying information, then it's easier for us to apply it. We can remember it easier. It helps us in every way. So we're actually going to let them apply it. You're going to see them using it. You're going to see them praising each other. And they're making these, they're going to use this method and make it up right on the spot. And so you're going to see how simple it is. And it's exciting. It's going to be helpful. It's going to enrich your relationship. And so let's get right into it. It's exciting. It's such a great group, that's for sure. You can certainly make this easy. We're going to get into one of the most exciting areas that I know of today, and that's a communication method that really does allow us to say whatever we want to someone, and they instantly understand. And I can almost guarantee you that you'll go deeper in intimacy with a person that you really love and want to go intimate with this method than almost any other method I know of. And also, it's a great way to share things with your children. It's just a super communication. In fact, did you hear about this minister who wanted to be a better communicator? I mean, he really wanted it. And he felt like his church, the people were boring, and he was boring, and he wanted to be more fired up about life and about what he said and so on. So he decided that he was going to say this to the people to get more excited about life. And then he thought, no, I better not do that. I better just be an example and get more enthusiastic and more fired up about life and everything else in my messages and so on. So he shows up the following Sunday, and I mean, he is fired up. And he is more enthusiastic. He greets more people. He hugs people. I mean, he is warm. And he is really excited about life. In fact, he's the last one to leave the church that day, and he's walking out of the church to go to the parking lot, and he's in the church, the meeting area there in the back of the church, and he sees about a 12-year-old boy standing over next to the wall, so he thinks, hey. So he walks over there, he says, hi, young man. He says, can I help you? And the little boy just said, I'm just looking at these pictures on the wall here. He said, young man, do you know who those men are on the wall there? He said, no. He said, those are the men who died in the service. And the little boy said, was that the 9 o'clock or the 11 o'clock service? Now, this particular man really needs this presentation right here for sure. Because, how many speeches have we heard around the country and politicians and so on? Incidentally, if you're in any area of life that requires you to communicate, which is basically anything, salesperson, manager of people, a speaker, a politician, a physician. My physician, a specialist 6 months ago, gave me what we're going to share. I mean, he gave me using this method. Didn't even know what he was doing. We all use it all the time and don't even realize it. But he gave this method, and instantly when he gave it, I understood exactly what he was saying, and I knew I was going to remember it. Because this method activates both the left and the right side of the brain at the same time. I'll give you an example of it. Then we'll define it. And then I'll show you how powerful it is. And I'll show you how to create them. And then we'll let you practice. Right in your supplement is a whole number of illustrations and ways to create them. And then lines for you to put your own examples and then to practice with one another. It only takes a short time. You're already using them. And I'll show you how you're already using them all the time anyway. How many times have you said things like this? Boy, this blows my mind, or that person doesn't have all these oars in the water, or their lights are on, but you can tell they're not home. Those kinds of things. There's hundreds of those types of statements that we could go around and pick up 100 of them right here. That's an emotional word picture. And the moment you use it, the reason it's so effective is because it activates both sides of our brain. And let me show you how this works right in my home. Now, it works with children 3 years of age and on up. I mean, it probably works with younger ones and figure it out, but I know it works with at least 3 years old. But here's my own son, Greg, now. He was 12 years old. And because I travel a great deal and speak around the country, what happens is that when he got to that age, and he wanted me home more, and he couldn't verbalize it. And so what would happen is when I got home from a trip, everybody would hug me, welcome home, Dad, kind of thing. But then he would always reject me instantly and wouldn't let me touch him or talk to him. And he'd say, I'm busy, Dad, I'm going out with my friends or whatever, for at least a couple hours. He'd go into his room and ignore me. I'd go and say, hey, Greg, how you doing? It's been great. I've only been gone a couple of days or 3 days, this kind of thing. And he'd say, Dad, I'm fine. I've had a good time since you've been gone. Now, everybody else was warm to me, but not Greg. And I was talking it over with Norma, and I said, that's really, what's the deal? She says, it's just okay. It's just this age, and he's probably upset with you that you're gone. It'll be okay. It's no problem. So, and I rely a lot on the relationships in our home with my wife. So anyway, I said, okay. And I said, though, it's really not good for Greg to learn this kind of a habit. Because let's say after marriage, and things don't go well with his wife or whatever, then he'll just close her out, won't talk to her, won't touch her. That's not good. So I thought, I had to talk to him about it. But then I realized that if you come straight on to a child, especially, and just share things with them, a lot of times they react or they resist or argue. And then when you get in an argument, then the whole thing is off. So I had used emotional word pictures, which is this communication method, with adults. I hadn't used them with children yet. So I thought, I'm going to try it on a child and see if it works. And was I amazed? Here's what happened. I take him out to breakfast. And we're at some fast food place, and he's chomping away at the food. And I said, Greg, let me tell you a story. And he says, yeah, Dad, whatever, And so I said, I want you to pretend that you're a star basketball player on a winning team, a winning season, and you're the high point man. And they really need you. And you're on a junior high team. You're really exciting player. And all of a sudden you get this problem with your neck. I take you to the doctor, and you have to have it fixed, but it's a minor thing. But you can't play for 3 weeks. So you're off the team, and you go once in a while to watch, but it's really hard on you because somebody's taking your place, You can hardly get back on the team. So 3 weeks go by, you pass your physical, you're back on the team, you show up, you're suited up, you're on the bench and saying, hey, coach, it's great to be back. And everybody says, hey, Greg, it's great to have you back. But they don't play you right away. This guy that's taking your place is pretty good. And so they're all practicing, and you say, hey, coach, hey. And he says, hey, Greg, we'll get to you in a little while. And I said, Greg, now here's part of the key to tell whether this is working. You got to sense from their nonverbals and look to see if they're really involved in this. They have to feel this story, we'll explain later on, they have to feel what you use emotionally. So I said, Greg, how does it make you feel? How would you think it would make you feel if your coach rejected you for several hours or even several days? He's chomping away, and he says, oh, Dad, I'd hate that. I wouldn't like that at all. I could see there was some feelings flowing, so I said, Greg, I know you don't realize this, but do you know that you do this to me every month at least once or twice? You treat me just like that coach and your teammates. Now, he's 12 years old, and he says, Dad, I don't treat you like that, coach. What are you talking about? I said, yes, you do. You may not realize it, but you do. At least twice a month, you don't let me back on the team. I've been so excited to get back home, and you reject me every time. And then I explained it to him. I said, when I come home and everybody else hugs me and talks to me, but you always ignore me, go outside or say, don't touch me, and just totally act as if I don't exist. He said, yeah. I said, Greg, that's the way you make me feel. And he said, oh, Dad, I didn't know it made you feel like that. He says, well, I won't do that anymore. And I thought, hey. But then I thought, he's 12 years old. He's not going to remember this. Okay, here's what happens. There is something phenomenal about this method. Because it activates both sides of the brain, it tends to lock it into our memory. 2 weeks later, I'm getting ready. I'm putting my bags in the car, and everybody says, hey, Dad, have a great trip, we've been thinking about you, Dad, And Greg says, oh, yeah, Dad, have a great trip and get ready to be rejected when you get home. Now here's the significance of this, okay? He never rejected me again. That was it. And one of the reasons is because this tends to lock this into our memory. Because he felt it. And whenever we feel something like this, it's amazing what this does. Now, there are so many examples, literally. In fact, we have a whole seminar on this one area. because we could go all day easily and give you tons of examples, practice this all day, although we have your supplement that really gives you the specifics, a lot more than I'm sharing in this verbal presentation. But just think in terms of history, for example. The deer hunting season in the 40s was a $12 million business. Now, that was a great deal back then. One man writes one emotional word picture and changes an entire nation, our nation, and cuts it down to 2.5 million in 1 year. No one knew this was going to happen. You know who that man was? Walt Disney. He wrote an emotional word picture of Bambi. And for the first time, men and women, but the women probably saw it more significantly, saw what happens to Bambi's mom, getting blasted, and, Bambi's dad and so on. And it cut it down. I can just see the wives saying, "You're not hunting this year," saying, "Oh, I love it." It was traumatic. I mean, now you think that's something. I mean, we could go through history for a long time, but listen to this one. How many of you have heard of Harriet Beecher Stowe? What did she do? Back in the 1800s, see, women were not given a voice like they are today. Remember, you could vote then. Remember that? Now, okay, which was unfortunate. We just weren't wise enough as people, right, to see the potential and the awesome wisdom. But what happened? She wrote one emotional word picture. Abraham Lincoln credited her as the straw that forced the nations into a major civil war. I mean, that is a tremendous credit for one person. Uncle Tom's Cabin. It was a stage play. And when the northern people saw it, they were enraged that slavery was being allowed. And so it moved people from within. That's an emotional word picture. I mean, as we began to study this and saw the power of emotional word pictures, I mean, I was blown away. It's the theme, in fact, of our current book. Because it is so powerful. So what do they actually do? Well, number one, we want to share 5 things that emotional word pictures do specifically. And then I want to get into exactly what they are and so on. They change lives. That's number one. I mean, take this one, for example. Here's a man and a wife, young couple, only married about 10 years, 3 great kids. You'd think they were the all-American family, but they're having a lot of struggles. So one day I share with them an emotional word picture. They say, "Okay, we'll try it." They come back to me and say, "Oh, this is unbelievable. It's changing our family right in front of our eyes." The husband was stopped dead in his tracks and changed a major area that he'd been doing. She was stopped. In fact, she was not only stopped, she wept uncontrollably for 2 hours. Now, this is the power of these things, so you have to be careful at times, because when you're honoring someone, you don't want to just blast them, and have them feel that kind of pain. But here's the kind of stories they told each other. Now, this is an emotional word picture. Let me define it first. An emotional word picture is a communication method that uses either a story or some kind of object in life or in the world. In fact, all these things are emotional word pictures. In fact, this is an emotional word picture right here. This is exactly what this is. This represents democracy and freedom and so many things to people. So when they see it, they get moved with emotions. Because that's what this is. It's an object. All the things I've been using, the Stradivarius, the plant, the rocks, all those things are emotional word pictures. Because I now know that as soon as I use one, it activates both sides of the brain for both men and women. Some of you will have a hard time forgetting what I'm talking about. I mean, you'll try to forget it and you can't. Because when I really activate the right side of your brain, you will tend to remember it for the rest of your life. I now realize that that's how we teach information for people to remember. Teachers can quadruple their effectiveness by using emotional word pictures. And so on. It's just every profession that I can think of can use them. Well, anyway, it's a communication method that activates both sides of the brain. It uses an object or a story. And it not only helps people to understand what we say, but what it causes them to do is to feel our words, to feel our feelings. And that's what all these things are, basically, are emotional word pictures. And I try to use them in order to help us all remember this. Now, it changes lives, and here's this husband. He's got a very critical wife. She's sort of a dominant. She has a little bit of right brain dominance to her. She's really balanced, but she has some left brain in there. And here's the kind of action. He was a football coach and a high school principal, and also taught a couple of courses from time to time just to fill in. He would come home many nights tired, exhausted. Here's what happened to him a lot of times. She'd start griping on him and criticize him. How come you spend so much time over there and you never fix this, you never do this? Constant wearing him out. So I said, think up a story to explain this to her so she knows how you're feeling. Now here's the story he uses to share what he's feeling about her critical nature when he comes home from work. And he really, a lot of times, wanted to avoid coming home. He'd go home kind of like, oh, here it goes. I have to take this. So here's the story. He makes up the story about this dog. He says, and he got her emotions flowing by saying, you know, Grandpa, because see, she likes Grandpa, so there's emotions with Grandpa. And now, you remember the dog he used to have? Yeah, remember when he was a puppy? Well, sometimes I feel like a little dog in the backyard at our home. And I'm frisky, and I'm so excited about life, and I sneak out from underneath the fence one time because I'm just adventurous, and I get lost in the woods, and I get, hacked by raccoons and other things, and I get lost. I'm running out of water and food and everything else, and accidentally I find my way back home. I mean, I'm so excited to be back home. I see the fence, I find the hole, I get under it. I'm thinking, Grandpa, he's going to feed me, he's going to pet me, everything else, and I go up to the back door, I'm yipping, and put my little paw against the screen door and pounding it, Grandpa comes to the door, and I go, there he is. Grandpa throws open the screen door, picks up this twig that he had and starts whacking me. Knocks me off the porch and chases me around the backyard. Whack! Don't you ever run away again. If you think this is bad, wait till the next time you run away. Wham! Wham! Chase me off. I was shocked because it was the last thing I expected. It was wounding me. He said, hon, I don't like to even say this to you because you're so important to me and so valuable, but many, many evenings when I come home, I walk in the door and you pick up this stick that you've got prepared and you just whack me as soon as I go in, right across the chest. Wham! You haven't fixed the fence. You never spend any time with me. Wham! And when are you going to do this? And wham! And then I try to get away from you, go in the bedroom, and you're right there. And wham! Hit me over the neck, And I run out in the backyard, and you're right behind me. Wham! Wham! And I just go, oh, how long do I have to endure this? It so touched her feelings, she broke into tears and cried literally for 2 hours. They couldn't discuss it because it moved her so much. You move someone like that, and you got memory for a long time. You've got changed lives. Now listen to hers. You think that was good. When she shared it, it changed my life. So he told me what she had said, and I thought, oh, it just hit me, boom. Because you can share your word picture with somebody else and can have the same effect, as long as it activates both sides of our brain. It must activate the feelings. She said, well, hon, I feel like every day you go off to work, you love what you do, you meet with some of your favorite people for breakfast, you have a great meeting. After breakfast, you throw a few things in a bag because you didn't finish everything. You go to work, and you love it there, and then you go to lunch with a whole group of new people, and you put some things in a bag at the end of that, and then on your way home, you also stop off with dinner with some of your favorite people. You have a great dinner, Chateaubriand, steamed asparagus, hollandaise sauce, the whole thing. And now, you throw it in the bag, you come home. I've been looking forward to having you all day, to knowing you, to talking, because we're together, we're husband and wife. And you'll come in the door and say, hi, hon, and hand me 3 bags. And you go right off and do whatever you do. Because I want part of you, I'll look in the first bag, and there's a little piece of dried, cold eggs. And the second one, maybe some French fries. And the third one is some cold pieces of meat. And salt. My hand goes right through because the hollandaise sauce soaked right through the bag on the ground. So many evenings, hon, when you come home, I feel like all I ever get are leftovers. I get doggy bags. And it's not the kind of relationship that I've always anticipated. Well, wham, it hit him hard. Because his wife is too valuable to him to bring doggy bags home all the time. So it hit him. And we've talked about it. He did this about 3 years ago. We've talked about it so many times. Well, they have become experts at emotional word pictures. I mean, they've got so many of them they use. And I use them all the time in my home, with my wife, again, with our kids and so on, because they punch in. Second, what emotional word pictures do is they direct our attention. They focus the attention in so you don't get reading newspaper or watching something else. Because see, a story does something. What happens when you tell somebody a story? Why is Paul Harvey the most listened to radio personality? Because he tells stories. The rest of the story. In fact, when I hear him on, I go, oh, okay, I want to hear what the rest of that story is. So then, of course, because stories focus people in. And it's amazing how powerful that is. And that's exactly what happens in our home, or objects, or whatever else. Because some of you are wondering, why does he have that violin? Why does he have that other thing? What is behind that? It somehow focuses our attention in. Okay, that's second. Third, what it does is it brings communication alive. It just brings it alive. It not only brings it alive, but it causes such a desire to want to do something. It's amazing to me what it does. Let me get real personal with you. About 3 months ago, and this just shows you that I'm right in the camp with everybody else, because it's just as easy for me to violate stuff as for somebody else. And I'm open to wanting to know what it takes to have the kind of marriage and family that we really want the best. We're coming back on a camping trip about 3 months ago, and we're in a motorhome. And there's my family, I have some friends with us and stuff, and it's about 10 o'clock at night. There's no one up front. Everybody's snoring, behind me, and there's no one to talk to me, and I'm just driving down the road thinking and stuff. And all of a sudden, my 21-year-old daughter, Carrie, comes up and says, "Hey, Dad, I'll just spend some time with you. I'll keep you company up here." She says, "Great," And we're great friends, and so I love it. And so we were talking about all kinds of things. She says, "Dad, when are we going to go on a date again? We haven't been on a date in a couple of months or so." And I said, "Hey, whenever. You want to go Saturday night or whatever?" And she said, "Yeah, let's do that." She says, "Because there's something really important I want to talk to you about." I said, "Well, hey, this is a great place right here. Why don't we do it right now?" She says, No, I'll wait a while," because she hadn't really thought it through. And I said, No, come on, let's talk about it right now. What is it? She says, "Well, Dad, it's something that I know you're not aware of. And it could be because of your company growing and different things, but the last several months you've been getting maybe a little more, serious about life and so on. And it comes out, Dad, as being probably too critical towards Mike." Now, he's our 15-year-old. "Now, Dad, you were critical of me from time to time, but we worked it out. But I see you starting to develop that little thing. You're picking on Mike. And I know you don't know it." And she said, "Just like when we were on the beach, this week, you were saying this and you were saying that, and it was something about his teeth, and he's this and this and this, and it was just kind of like pick. And she says, Dad, it's really, really going to hurt him. And I know it's going to strain your relationship because it comes across as critical." I said, "Carrie, you know what? The whole family talked about me this last summer, and I can't remember it. I need an emotional word picture because I needed to be able to remember this. And I really want to stop, and I will." And remember, this was 3 months ago. And if Mike was standing here today, and I asked him to get out of camp and everything else to come and say this, because Mike will tell you I haven't criticized him in 3 months. And the reason is, and I told him after this experience, I said, "Mike, I plan never to criticize you again." And I told him the story. He said, "Dad, that's exactly it." I said, "Mike, have you had enough criticism, for your age?" He said, "Dad, I've had enough criticism for a whole life." And I said, "Well, you got it from me. You're not going to be criticized for me ever again." Because the word picture sticks inside. Now, here's what Carrie said to me. She said, "Dad, I can't think of one." I said, "Well, use one about my seminars or something like that. Just anything comes to your mind." She says, "I got it, Dad." Now, it's amazing how people can think of these things, and you can help them draw these things out. She said, "Dad, I want you to pretend it's Friday night." That's when my seminars start. And people are there, the place is jammed, people are enthusiastic, they really are into what you say, and they go home that night, and they're excited about, fired up about the next day, and they show up the next day, and you start your fourth session, really, which would be this session. And all of a sudden, you start criticizing these people and say, "Come on, I want some of you people to sit up straighter. And I want, hey, I haven't appreciated some of you dropping off into sleep. And besides the fact, why don't you guys get your marriage put together in the right way? I mean, just stop this fooling around kind of thing." And for an hour, all you do is criticize these people. You start picking on them. You're not funny. Nothing happens. What do you think the audience is going to do, Dad? I said, "Well, probably what they're going to do is they're going to start getting up one at a time and walking out saying, 'Oh, this is not what we expected.'" She said, "Dad, every day of Mike's life, he's a captive audience on Saturday morning, and he can't get up out of the room and walk away." And I went, that's right. Because Dad, he respects you. He loves you too much. He's not going to just say, and it's hard for him to confront me because of his temperament. That's our next session. We're going to talk about the different temperaments and how some it's easier to confront than others. I said, "Carrie, you got the point across. I love it. I appreciate it." I shared it with Mike. He said, "Dad, that's it. That's a good one." And I said, "Okay, Mike, I never plan to criticize you again, and I don't plan to do it. Now, when I do, I can always seek his forgiveness, because what will happen if I really get big on it, I can close his spirit. I know I can seek forgiveness, but it's been cut down to nothing, because I don't forget the emotional word pictures, because they focus our attention right in and do those things. Okay, number 4. And we've mentioned this. They lock our words into a person's memory. Listen to this one. Our third or fourth book, whatever it is called Key to Your Child's Heart, and it's about parenting. It's our parenting, a lot of our parenting material. I asked Norma if she'd write a chapter of it, because she loves to write letters and loves to express, and she's a super parent. And I said, why don't you write a chapter about this area because this is really your specialty. She said, okay, I'll do it. It's great. So I'm writing away, and one day she comes to me, she says, I'm really, really bothered by something. And I said, what is it? She says, no, you won't want to talk about it because it's going to really upset you. I know it will. I said, it's not going to upset me. I'm not going to do anything. Hey, if I'm upsetting you, I want to fix it. What is it? She says, well, I don't think I want to talk about it because it's going to cause a big hassle. I said, no. I'm serious. What is it? Of course, she has my attention. This is super how she does that kind of thing. Anyway, I said, no, what is it? She says, okay, let me tell you a story. That'll help. She says, I've been thinking about it for some time. She did. It's important to think about this, what you're going to say, and the timing. We were taking a walk. We were holding hands on some trail somewhere. And so she said, okay, here it is. Squaw Peak near our home? We live in Phoenix, Arizona. Squaw Peak is a real hard mountain to climb. It's a hard, rugged hill. And she's never climbed it. I have. And she says, but you know how hard it is? And I said, yeah, I know how Squaw Peak. See, immediately activates the right side of my brain. Yeah, I know about Squaw Peak. Well, she says, every day I have like 7 little hills I climb as a woman, working with you full time, the kids, all the things. I love everything I do. But she says, but you added Squaw Peak to my life every day. And I have to climb up Squaw Peak, and I don't have any energy for those other 7 hills or anything else. And she said, I tell you what, it's so wearing me out and so discouraging me that I'm losing my energy, and it's really affecting me, affecting my marriage, affecting my work. I said, what in the world is Squaw Peak to you? She said, when you asked me to write that chapter, that's Squaw Peak to me. And I know it's not to you, but it is to me. And I said, well, hey, if that chapter is Squaw Peak, let's forget it, because I'll work. I said, do you want any part of the book? She said, yes, I'd like to read it to make sure it's accurate. But that's one of her great strengths, be accurate. Okay. And anyway, so that was it, okay? Made sense to me. I've never forgotten it, but here's what happened the next day. I get up in the morning, I'm working on my chapters, and I see her really working on something in the next room. So I get up, take a break, and I walk in and say, hey, what are you doing? She says, I'm writing my chapter. I said, I thought you said it was Squaw Peak. She says, well, now that I don't have to do it, I want to do it. Now, hey, there's a lot of things I don't understand, and that's one of them right there. And I don't have to understand that because it's just reality. But she was really, she really was excited about it. But there's something about releasing. Anyway, I've never forgotten it. And there's about 30 others that we've used from time to time, and I've used with her. In fact, there's one that I used last year that really zinged into her heart and caused her to want to change an area of her life that she really has not been open to for probably 15 years. And I'd been trying to think of something and in a moment when we talk about how we actually design these things, you'll see what we're talking about here. Anyway, it locks the person in. Remember, it's, and we've mentioned this already, is the gateway to intimacy. And again, we could give you a dozen examples about that. But I want to get into what are the steps to creating word pictures. And there are 6 of them. So we want to share 6 of them with you. They're in your supplement, so you can go over them. But I just want to highlight these areas. Number 1, the first thing you want to do if you're going to share an emotional word picture with somebody is decide what your purpose is. Why do I want to share a word picture with this person? What do I want to use it for? What's the purpose of it? Why? Now, there's usually only 4 purposes. Do I want to just clarify something, some information? Do I just want to clarify? Do I want to become intimate, deeper in intimacy with my mate or my friend or my children or whatever? Do I want to praise my children or my mate or someone? I'm going to tell you, you praise somebody with an emotional word picture, it locks it into their memory and they'll remember it forever. It's one of the best ways I know of to build somebody's self-esteem. And then last but not least, the 4th reason, do I want to correct someone? Do I want to reprove them? Do I want to share something they're doing to strain our marriage or our family or our employment or whatever? I watched a man share one emotional word picture with his boss, and not only got a raise, his boss changed his schedule immediately because he was working nights, and even the guy was blown away. In fact, that was the part of the word picture that he used because, you see, hey, let me go on. The second thing is you want to find out the person's interests. Now, this particular employee knew that his boss was a veteran and a decorated veteran and loved the country and loved the flag and, the whole thing, of defending democracy. He knew that was a big interest of his. Now, if you're going to tell a story to your children, like with my son Greg, I knew his big interest was sports, so I picked basketball. So you have to pick the person's interest. If your husband is a computer expert or whatever, just take any interest he has in sports or whatever it is, and that's what you want to zero in on, because the more emotions flow if it's their high interest. This guy tells his boss a story about, he says, you know what I feel like recently? I feel like you and I are in war, and we're in a foxhole, and we're defending, the men are behind us, and we're defending, and we're trying to take this hill, and we're shooting at the enemy, so on and so forth. And I'm doing such a great job, and this is what you've said to me kind of thing. I'm doing such a great job that you turn around and say, you know what? You are such an awesome person to work with, to fight with, that when this battle is over, and if we're both alive, I'm going to recommend you for the highest medals, and I'm going to give you this, and you're going to have promotion and all this other stuff. I mean, this is going to happen because you're a super person. We keep fighting, and all of a sudden you turn your rifle on me and go, blow me away. Wham! And I hit the side of the thing, and it doesn't kill me, but it really wounds me. And I say, wait a minute. And you go, hey, you like that one? So he blows in my arm, and I go, what is this? You just told me you were going to decorate me, now you're shooting me. And the boss said, well, what in the world did I do to cause that? He said, you told me you were going to give me a different shift and give me a raise. And you've been telling me what a great employee I am. But last week you promoted so-and-so over me and left me on this shift, and I've been hurting inside just like as if I was been blasted in that foxhole. The boss went, ugh, because that's the last thing a good soldier would want to do. And he says, you got your raise and you got your new position. You will be amazed at what happens when you do this. Now, not all of them work the first time because you have to have maybe 2 or 3. And even if a person knows what you're doing, it's amazing if they'll listen out the effect it has. So we have to get their interest, okay? Then what we want to do is we want to draw from one of 4 wells. And in your supplement are all 4 of the wells, and we explain what they are. There's the well of nature. Anything you can think of in nature, you can use, like plants is part of nature. Second thing, anything, birds, you can say, I feel like a bird, or I feel like a animal in the woods that's been beat up, or the skin's been ripped off, and I've been skinned alive, and I'm waiting for the skin to grow back, you can really capture things with nature. There's millions of things in nature. One time with a pro football player, his wife started tearing up. She said, I feel like a little stream up in the river, up in the mountains with this, the pine trees and everything else, and it's a beautiful little crystal clear watered stream. But a boulder has rolled down and blocked up the stream, and now it's backed up, and now there's moss, and some of the water is putrefying, kind of thing. And he said, well, what was the rock? What happened? She said, well, when you did that last week, it was just like a big boulder rolling down and blocking up my life. And he said, well, hey, and he's a big, strong guy. He says, well, hey, I'll pick that rock up and throw it out of there because I want you flowing. And he was willing to do something, but see, that's nature. Then there's the area, the well of objects. This is a object right here. Anything that's, you can look around, chairs or objects, anything that's, not living, anything at all. It can be a car. One of the best ones for a man is to say to him, if you were a car today, what kind of car do you feel like? And what condition is it in? What are the seat covers like? Are they ripped? Is it banged in? Are there new tires? Are you a sporty car, or an old beat up, 73 something or other? You can get a lot of information about a person by using objects. Then the third well is the well of stories. And of course, that's one of the easiest ones because it locks it in, You can talk about anything. Pretend you're a company. Pretend you're a hiking expedition. Pretend you're a canoeing group. Pretend you're a school, whatever. Whatever story you want to make up. And all that's in your supplement, so you'll see it in there. And then the last one is history. You can specifically use a person's history, or you can use any history in life. Anything that a person can remember is effective. In fact, one time my associate, Dr. John Trent, and I were speaking at a conference, and John was going to do a particular presentation he'd really worked on. And so I was up first, and so I thought of something John could do that would even be more effective than what he had planned to do. So I got the whole audience fired up and said, you won't believe how awesome this guy is when he speaks and shares this presentation, that we've done many times together. So we meet after the meeting. He said, what are you doing? He said, I'm not ready for that. He says, I'm prepared for this thing. I said, oh, but you could do a great job. Just wing it. You know how good you are. Hey, they'll love it. He says, okay. So I talk him into it. So he shows up, and he thought there were supposed to be like 50 people or so at a special workshop in the afternoon at this conference. And that's what he had planned on. So he had his material for 50 people and so on. And he was ready for this new thing that I encouraged everybody to be involved in. 400, 500 people show up. He's in shock. he literally passes out his 50 sheets, which means no one had them, basically. And they weren't even passed out in order. He gave half this group this side and half the group that side, so they didn't even have the right pieces together. He stands up, and after about 10 minutes, he says, come on up and help me, kind of thing. So I go up, and I help together, kind of thing. We finish. Well, people start leaving, and stuff like that, and he was just mortified. Well, after it was all over, I didn't even know this, but this really, really deeply hurt him. And so now, that's one of the most powerful historical word pictures we use in our office. Because I get so excited about ideas at times, I'll say, hey, let's do this. And all he has to say now is, remember that conference out there, and I go, oh, yeah, that kind of thing. He instantly has my attention. Because I'll never forget it. Because it was really insensitive of me to change his whole thing without checking with him and try to talk him into it. That's a historical word picture that we can use. It's kind of like remember the Alamo kind of thing. I mean, anything in history that causes us to remember those kinds of things is what we can use. It's one of the four wells. Well, anyway, so then what we'll do, we draw for the four wells. Then next what we do is we practice it. That's the next one. The next one, we want to pick a convenient time. Pick a time where you can be alone. There's not going to be any telephone, and say, hey, this is really important. And I think women need to also be aware of this. You are so powerful in influencing us as men. We could literally spend another hour telling you all the things you get us to do in this life just because of your enthusiasm and because your eyes and everything else, kind of thing. Tell us that this is important and that we have to talk about this, and then pick a convenient time when we can be alone and all the rest of it, maybe at a restaurant or whatever, so we can really concentrate on this. And don't settle for second best, either as a man or a woman. Don't say, well, I shouldn't talk about this with her or with him. Say, hey, this is important. Do we want a good marriage or what? And then you take that time to focus in at a convenient time. And then be persistent. Maybe one word picture doesn't do it. And they go, Like one woman said to me one time at a conference, she came out, I tried that, man, that didn't work. I said, what do you mean you tried it, it didn't work? And she says, I told my husband I feel like a crumb. And he brushes off the table and hits the ground. And I said, well, so he says, well, that's a stupid way to feel. Now, do you know why he said that? Because you didn't take enough time to activate his emotions. He doesn't know how a crumb feels. There's no identity with a crumb. You have to use something that he can identify with. His emotions have to flow first if you really want this to be effective. So be persistent. Now, I'm telling you the truth when I tell you these stories, and I could tell you literally hundreds of them, but listen to this one. Here's a couple in the back of an auditorium like this, and I could see they were practicing, because this is what we encourage people to do, and they were practicing, and I could see they were really interacting. She had tears, and I said, oh, I can tell they're really into this, whatever it is. So at the break time, then they came up, and she said, this is amazing. This is absolutely amazing. She said, 15 years, I've been trying to talk my husband into which he could afford anytime he wanted, into a different home. I just don't like the home we're in. And I've been trying to explain it to him, but he's never understood. He always says, let's just be happy with what we have. And I would say they have some money. Here's what happened. She told him one story, and she made up this story about a fish that was trying to make it up to the spawning area, and a what do you call him, a ranger or somebody, picked the fish up and got it over some falls. But when he got him over the falls, she was so excited because she was going to make it up to her spawning area because she couldn't get up these falls. Beautiful trout. He put her in a big tank, beautiful tank, glass tank. People could see her. A lot of fresh water, cold water, but that's not what she likes, the tank. She wanted to go up to her natural, where she could identify. The tank wasn't hers. It's a beautiful tank. Thank you for the tank. But it isn't me. And he has very, very, very active in as a sportsman and in areas of trying to preserve things in our environment. It so hit him. This is literally what he did. He took out his checkbook, and this was like pocket change, and wrote out a check for $120,000 and said, would this start us on a new home? Now, this won't work maybe with your husband. This is pocket change to them, so you know what I mean? But on another, within your realm, it's amazing the effect this can have. Because you see, once you activate both sides of our brain, it moves us. And don't be surprised if your husband starts tearing up and puts his arm in and says, I had no idea you were feeling this way. And you'll even be shocked. Because the communication that we need in marriages, remember, it's like water to a marriage or water to a friendship. That kind of communication just floods your roots and enriches. Now, practice them, watch how they work, and do them over and over again, and watch how powerful they are in your own life. Next area we're going to get into is how do we become a close friend to our mate or our children? Are you close enough to your children that you really feel a friendship and a bonding where you really enjoy each other? Or do you feel sort of a distance? If you want to close, you can make a decision to be close. You don't have to wait for it to happen. It can happen in a day. It can happen in a week. And if you're single and you want a closer friendship with someone, you can make the decision to be closer with someone. And that's our next session that we'll be getting into our next hour. I feel like an expectant father because I really do feel like something great is going to be born in your relationship from this last session. Word pictures. I mean, I know that there's been some things you've wanted to say to your mate or your friend, and they just haven't seemed to understand it or even care at times because they haven't felt your feelings. And I know that you can do this. It may be difficult at first. You're already doing it to some degree. We just want you to harness the natural capacity, use it, and see the differences. And I'm also excited because the next video session is about how you can become close-knit with your family, your loved one, your friend, even people at work. I mean, you can literally decide to be closer to another person. Every couple at one time or another says, I wish I could just be more connected. I mean, I wish we just were better friends. And that's all possible. You don't have to wait around passively for this. It can happen. And you can do something about it, and you'll see this in that next session. And also, we're giving you a bonus. We're adding, when you feel like too much anger or you're worrying too much, you get up in the morning, your stomach's sick, you're worried about money, you're worried about your job, you're worried about something, your relationship. I want to show you how you can make a decision, a practical decision. You can control it. Remember we talked about anger? We were waiting for people to come back to us and admit they were wrong and seek our forgiveness. And wouldn't it be wonderful if that was the case every time? Well, it isn't. Oftentimes, we have to take it upon ourselves to get that anger out or that worry out or that jealousy or envy or even depression. I mean, there's something we can do to actually reduce that in our life. Now, I still get angry, and there's times I worry. I can't remember the last time I was envious or jealous or fearful. But those used to be so much a part of my life. Well, you can make a decision, something you can do practically, and you'll see those emotions start to drain. You'll see the stress in your life start to go down, and you can do something about that on your own, which is the reason why I'm excited about it. And I know I'm excited about every one of these sessions, but each one of them builds in the other and just gives you more and more enrichment in your relationship. And this other session we're going to get to next time, it gives you a handle on your own happiness. So you don't have to be so dependent upon circumstances or other people or your job and all these things. And so I know you'll love it. So it's coming, and I'm excited about it. Well, now we get a chance to interact with these couples again and things they've wanted to share, with their mate, and they didn't seem to, get it the way they wanted them to. So they made a word picture. And they've been involved in these videos. They've seen it. And so they've been practicing. And so we're going to get a chance to do that right now. So who wants to start and be the first ones?
Gary, that reminds me of a good one recently that happened. We're just approaching our 20-year anniversary in our marriage, and we've noticed the different things seem to set you off in different areas. And I was, as a guy will be, kind of oblivious, just said, it'll blow over. And Crean got me with a good one. I'm very sensitive to animals and kind of feel for them. And she reminded me of some years back when we were driving along and the dog came out of the ditch and ran right into the side of our van and spun off. Well, instantly, she reminded me, I pulled over.
Big bang.
Yeah, just heard the noise. And your heart kind of sinks and pulled over right away, ran back and, tried to do what you could and realized, fortunately, didn't run over it. So, but it was stunned and, you give all that feeling to it and everything. And decided, found the owner was up there and took it back. And they said, well, I think it'll be okay. And so you stayed until you're sure. And then had to go on your way. But after work that day, reminded me, I called back to make sure it was okay and all the feeling and this whole thing and brought back all these emotions.
You felt terrible.
Oh, yeah, just all that whole day, just worrying about it and everything and wanted to make sure it was okay right at that moment. And then so I'm back and all those emotions are coming through. You should tell them that with a line that you hit me with.
Well, I was trying to express, the way I wish he would treat me. That he gave that dog so much compassion and love because he injured it accidentally.
Right.
I mean, he never intends to injure me.
Right.
But if he would just do the same thing that he did for that dog.
What was that? What was that? That line that you told me about the first day? Yeah.
When he injures me sometimes, I feel like he had hit and run, and I was abandoned.
Leave her there.
You're laying along the side of the road.
Leave her there hurting and just drive away.
Now, you didn't put it in reverse and back.
At least didn't do that.
No.
Huh?
But see, if that happened, you could say, I even felt like then not only was it hit and run, but you did put it in reverse, you know, and then you're off to work and doing your thing, and I'm there on the road bleeding. And you never even took the time to find out, you know, is somebody going to care? Now, what would happen, for example, in your life that would make you feel like that? Give me the real thing.
Well, it can be the littlest things. I mean, it's not ever the big things if the kid breaks her arm or something, but it's the littlest things where he might just say, you know, you really need to spend more time with the kids.
Yeah.
Something critical a lot of times.
So for you, something
thing.
critical, boom, it hits you.
If it's, you know, another
significant.
pebble on top
Right.
of, you know, I just can't take anymore.
Right. So he's been throwing those little pebbles, and they're building up, and so now it's a pretty good sized rock. Wham! Side of the car, ditch, bleeding.
And then I go silent, and he
Okay.
knows that I'm injured.
Yeah.
And that's hard to where you know that you've done something, but it's that same thing. You're not sure what necessarily. Sometimes I know, obviously, but quite often you're not quite sure, or at least it wasn't that big of a thing.
Right.
But you know that she's injured, and instead of doing something right away, kind of like you did in the example.
And how did you feel instantly when she gave you this word picture?
Instantly that I could relate. I would have instantly tried to solve that solution with the animal, but a lot of times because I don't express things as easily as I wish I could.
You didn't know
go silent.
she hit the side of the car, did you?
No.
No. So when you hear it, you go, oh, I didn't know you hit the side. So then don't you have the desire to get out and see how she's doing?
Well, he is really good about coming back. Like that one time he sent me just one rose at work.
Okay.
And that, you know, or maybe just a phone call.
But let's look at it this way. There's times where he's going to hit you. Let's say let's say you're a woman and you've run out in the street and he's hit you. Let's say he had the music so loud in the car that you didn't even notice it. You looked in your rearview mirror and saw something flopping around back there. We thought, wow, that's strange. You really didn't pay that much attention to it. Now, when she brings it up to you, then you go, oh, I did see something in the rearview mirror, but I didn't know that was you. I didn't realize. Then we can go back to the thing about the open and closed spirit. You can hug, okay, let me ask you this question. Once he feels, and you sort of answered this already, but once you think he feels your pain, let's say, through the word picture, it's one of the best ways to get us to feel a word picture. What would you appreciate him doing? And you've mentioned that already, like a rose, a call. Are there additional things that he could do for you as a unique person to make you feel like he's gone back there, seen what the leg conditions are in your body, and went to see the owner and stuff, and then made that phone call in the afternoon? What are some additional things he could do?
Well, if he would just express that I am very valuable to him and just say, you know, I'm sorry, I would never mean to hurt you.
Okay.
Those type of things, just the soft words.
How about I love you?
Yes, that would be nice.
Okay, that's good.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
Are you the kind of a person that likes to express I love you? Is that easy for you?
No, real hard.
Real hard.
Real hard. The
Did you get it?
verbal side is real hard. I can
Okay.
demonstrate.
All
Really
right.
easy. The verbal side is something that
But did you see her facial expression when she said,
Oh, yeah.
yes, I would love that? And now, is it easy for us to say, for me, for example, to say, no, it's not easy for me because I didn't come from a home where I ever heard my mom and dad ever say, I love you. I never saw them hug. I saw a lot of fights and arguments. So when I say that I love Norma, like this morning on the phone, yesterday on the phone, I'll say, I love you. And I have to make a decision to do that, but I can say it. I can say it to my kids now easier. And the more I do it, I just keep doing it. Now it's pretty much like breathing. But for a long time, I want to admit to you, and anybody else had that hard time? You had a hard time, Chuck, saying I love you?
Yeah, I think
Do the words just sort of stick in your throat?
And again, I'm the same kind of personality as you are. It's hard for me to verbalize feelings. And so and then I'll cry or something, and I'm not supposed to. I'm supposed to. I was raised, big boys don't cry. So
Right.
that's right there. I have to work through that.
But we just do it. And let me just ask one more personal question if I could. Then I could ask you actually each lady here and each guy. It would be good to hear what the guys say. How often, if you could get the best, would you love to hear him say verbally, I love you?
Well, I wouldn't want to be too greedy, but I would like to hear it at least once a day.
Ooh.
At least once.
Isn't that great? Let's get another one.
Probably our hardest area of our relationship is communicating when we're mad at each other.
Right.
We're in an angry situation. She can talk right now about how she feels, and I have no skill to do that. I'd rather never talk about it, type of thing. So we use the analogy of a tennis game, where when Barb would send a sentence over to me, I'd let it go. I'm not going to, there it goes. Then she'll send another one over the net, and I let it go. And pretty soon she's slamming those balls over as fast as she can. And then I'll feebly put out my little racket, and I'll maybe pop one back, and it floats up to the net, and she rushes up and smashes it down her throat. Right. So the word picture was to Barb, I need my balls to bounce and come up nice and high, and then I'll hit them back to you. But I can't, all these balls coming at me, there's no way. And we play tennis, and so she could see that I was being overwhelmed by the amount of balls coming at me. And when I did try to put one back, she'd smash it at me. And so why would I go through that? You know?
Exactly.
And we realized that when I would hit the ball back immediately, I was answering too soon. He wasn't aware that I was in touch with my feelings immediately. He didn't feel heard. So when he said he wanted the ball to bounce and come up real high, I thought, it took me a while to realize what that meant.
And would you have liked to have her hold it for a while?
No,
look at it?
To hold it. Just let it bounce.
Just
She'd
let it
never
bounce. Okay. But what if she would have held it for just a few seconds, contemplated, pondered it?
Yes, I think that's
well,
what
the bounce
wanted.
does that for me.
Okay, all right.
So if she was bouncing, it comes up through.
See, my word picture back to him was if it comes up 4 inches, it's called, and you hit it real close to the ground, it's called a half volley.
Yeah.
And I'd say, if I ever do let it bounce, I half volley it right back to you. And so then he knew that I understood what he was saying.
That's good.
So
I like
that's
it.
helped us. And then what he meant with the ball bouncing and coming up real high was, I want some time spent before you say anything.
I got it. Do you guys have a?
Yeah.
Yes.
We've talked about this a couple of times, and I think it's real pertinent to our lives. I'm a pretty hard driver, literally, and the word picture that we
as a dentist, hard driver.
Yeah, right. Probably patients are gonna love that. But we really in our lives mainly are dealing with the fact that I'm pushing, and Trish wants me to slow down. And the example that I used was being a race car driver. That I have an image of myself out there wanting to do the best, and the goal is driving this Formula One race car until
So it's Formula One. It's not a Porsche.
It's the real thing. You know, I mean, I want to qualify for Indianapolis 500, and I want to get the checkered flag. I've set a high goal. Okay. In the process of doing that, I see Trish and the kids as my pit crew. And they sometimes feel like it's the pits because of the driving that I'm going through. And so what we've talked about is that I'm in such a hurry to win this race to qualify for the next one, and that's my daily procedure. That I'm coming in to the pits and the first few laps or whatever, and I'm stopping. They're there and they're supporting me. They're changing the tires. They're fueling me up.
And you're racing down on a hot day because I can see the sweat falling off.
That's right.
And so that's how you're feeling.
I got the asbestos
yes,
suit
that's
on.
right. So that's why you're
hot.
Sorry, that's right.
So I'm in there and I'm racing, and they're fine. They do great for a while, and they hold up the numbers, and they tell me how many more laps I got to go until I come home at 5:30 in the evening or 6 or whatever it is. Well, then after a while, it's like I'm coming in and I'm give me my water. I got to get a drink of water. I'm thirsty. Change the tires, get the gas. I got to go. And in the process of doing that, I'm losing track of them. I'm not saying, gosh, you guys are the greatest pit crew. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be able to drive this car, and I wouldn't have this great, career that I've got. And you guys are the ones that are there for me, always supporting me.
So how often do you praise them on this?
Well, See,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm guilty. I'm
Okay.
guilty of
All right.
having to back off
Okay.
and saying thanks. You know, I mean, I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. I'm glad you're there. They stopped holding numbers up. I don't know how many more laps I got to go. You know, I run out of gas sometimes on the track, and I'm embarrassed in front of all these people
Because
in the
they
stands
haven't been
because
helping
it's
you,
like
that's right.
it's like, hey, we don't care whether he finishes or not. You know, I mean, big deal.
He's so
we start
busy.
letting air out of the tires, so he'll
Yeah,
slow
yeah,
down.
yeah, they're
We're
taking
getting
nails,
slow
sticking
down.
nails out there on
That
the
is a
track
great
before I
one.
run out.
That's
you
a
know?
great one.
And so that's
Do you guys
art.
all have cars in this race too? Are you?
Well, we'd like him to get in our family Chevy and just in the 4-door Chevy and just take it easy and cruise with us. We're happy to support him throughout the week when
Yeah.
he's going strong, but when we're that pit crew, we don't want to get run over.
Yeah.
And we
they
want
don't-
him, and then when it's time then to have fun and time for the weekends, we want to just kind of cruise and enjoy him, and we
Just
don't want
get
to
in the
be
car.
on
Yeah, instead of me getting in there and saying,
hard
okay, let's have a
driving.
picnic, let's go really, let's get out of the way.
Let's do 5 things
Yeah,
today
let's
at
see
the
how fast
picnic.
we can get
Uh-huh.
there.
We don't want to
Mhm.
do that. We want
Right.
to, you know,
That's good. Now,
Get-
that helped you understand
Oh, yeah.
when they say to you, "Let's get in the Chevy today and just take a leisurely ride," then you know, all right. Is that easy for you to do though?
No, I've got to consciously think about it. I've
Mhm,
always,
mhm.
I've got to consciously think,
Mm-hmm.
slow down, place a value on what they think is important,
Right.
and value them, honor what they think is important.
And does he do that then at times?
at times it is
Okay.
it's a struggle. It is
Right.
like you
But
said,
at
it's very
times-
difficult
Yeah.
You do,
at times.
which helps us if we have a word picture.
Right.
Give me some real specifics. And you're going to be saying to him, but saying to all of us, what 2, 3, 4, we can keep, maybe even come in and give some suggestions on what could he do that would make you feel, and the kids, that you were in the Chevy 4-door family car driving out to have a picnic. What are some of the things that he would do specifically that would make you feel that way?
Just like maybe one day a week, give us his undivided attention, or maybe not even that often. Maybe even twice a month.
Okay.
And by undivided attention, not other people involved in that, not
Yeah.
not
Oh.
the cellular phone or anything. Just
Leave the
a
cellular
little
phone at home.
undivided attention.
Undivided
time.
attention. And see, she's saying once or twice,
We'd be happy, yeah, twice
month?
a month. Just
twice a
well,
month.
Once a week would be great.
Okay, let's ask around. Should it be twice a month or?
Shoot, I'd do it every day if I could. I'd love to do it at least once a week. It's so much fun.
But watch how we let's just milk this generally, okay? Let's ask generally, how many times a week would you love to be in that Chevy relaxed? If you could.
Once a week.
Once a week.
Once a day.
Once a day, newlyweds.
Well, I think I'd be probably easy on him, just to let him ease into it and
Yeah.
say, like Trish, she'd be satisfied with twice a month.
I know
Twice a
I'll
month.
ease into. I'll have to ease into it, knowing the type of person that he is. I can't just say, okay, we got to have this twice
No,
a
you
week.
can't
or
say
else.
that, but if he came to you and said, if I could give you the best, and our relationship was really good and the best, what would the best be to you?
Once a week, one day a week.
The best. He said, okay. Thousands of people heard him say, okay.
Now, on the other hand, Gary, what
Yeah.
I'd like to do is, does the pit crew ever, when he accomplishes a good month or his 19 goal fillings in a row or whatever it is he's doing, does the pit crew ever lifting up on their shoulders and tell him how wonderful he is?
Always.
Do you? So that's
Yeah, they're great
yeah.
supporters.
So it's just a one-way deal.
Oh,
I'm the bad guy.
Those are good tries.
And a lot of it, when we get to the personality section, which is down the road, the 6th session, that session will help couples understand why we tend to be so different as husband and wife. And that'll just bring so much more clarity into it so we can relax about each other and even give us more practical help in understanding and fixing the situation. Because we really are unique and different in personalities, and that's a wonderful session to help us in this very process right here.
You know, everyone's different though, because I feel like I'm real simple-minded. I listen to all these detailed word pictures and I think, ooh, and I get kind of, I'm gone
Yeah.
half the way.
Yeah.
I need it right there. And
Simple,
yeah, just simple to the
understandable.
point.
Right.
Rich has we've done a lot of family of origin work.
Yeah.
And Rich has a real hard time with my family,
Okay.
the way they treated me.
Right.
They never listened to me,
Yeah. Affirmed you.
affirmed me,
Yeah.
nothing. I was always wrong.
Or critical.
Criticized me all the time. So
Mm.
when Rich gets real bad, I just say, Rich, you know, it's starting to feel like my family.
Ooh.
And immediately he goes right back.
And the
"I'm
reason he
sorry."
feels that is because he's already said your family has been tough on you.
Mhm.
So then when you say that he's the combination of the family, he goes, oh, because he's already got those emotions there. In fact, let's go from this word picture, because most of our word pictures have been struggles and understanding conflict and so on. You can use those for the very thing we talked about, struggles, but you can also use it for praise. You can also use it just for clarification and for deep intimacy, saying, this is who I am. You can make up any word picture or have some object that you can see. So let's get some examples of praise or intimacy or just clarification, some of the other areas.
I think Bob is such a calming effect on me. I'm a little more extroverted, and he's a real sensitive, quiet, nonverbal
Right.
type. But what he adds to my life is what I need the most, and that's why, probably why I wanted to marry him.
So what's a word picture that would explain?
He, to me, is like a calm lake, glass, that I just want to go out and be on that lake and just float.
Float on
and,
one of those big swimming pool things. Just get on it
and
have
it's
your
so
iced tea.
peaceful, and
Mhm.
it's stable.
And the weather when he's around is calmer, isn't it?
Right.
Okay.
He's so consistent, and I always know if I've
It's
had.
not like those Midwest storms we've been having lately.
No.
Yeah, right. Hmm.
No, he
Yeah.
rarely.
See, that's what my wife is to me. She's the calming. She's that front coming through, high pressure front, which clears out the sky and is calmer. Whereas I'm more like you. So I could tell our newlyweds were.
I was just going to say, Corinne has been the same, or has the same effect on me. Work can get most jobs can get you can get very uptight, very, I guess, stressed and tense about certain things, hoping you meet deadlines, hoping things go through as you try to work them through. But the way she speaks, and usually when I come home, she's also works, but I guess she can handle it better than I can. But she has a very calming effect on me. And I was just thinking, when she was mentioning the lake, I was thinking of like a nice hot bath. Not that I take baths very often, but when I do, it's very relaxing, very calming.
In there. So she's like a refreshing hot bath.
Mhm.
See, that's a praise. She'll remember that for a long time.
I'm glad I'm hot.
That's true. I imagine newlyweds, that's exactly true. Okay, good.
I don't know if Barb would be flattered with this at all. I've never told her, but we have a puppy.
Yeah.
And I would picture her as this puppy because she's stable.
Mhm.
She gives me unconditional love.
Yeah.
She's always available.
Yeah.
She's always happy.
Yeah.
She's always up.
Yeah.
She's always enthusiastic.
Yeah.
And I tend to get down once in a while, and she's always there. And I might not even feed her once in a while, and she'd still be bounding up, saying how wonderful I am. And
That's great.
That's who she is. She's very consistent. I love that.
I should ask her. Does that encourage you?
Yes, it really does. Yeah. But that's really funny because I thought of a word picture just for Molly too. We lost a dog after 17 years, and I was never going to have another dog. So we were in a pet store one day, and when we came out, tears dropped off.
No,
Chuck's
my
cheek.
eyes just got moist.
So I went home the next week, and I bought him a puppy. And this puppy is a stubborn terrier. We've only had Cocker Spaniels before. Now this is a different dog, but she's funny.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, Chuck is funny. I mean, he's always
funny.
coming up with cute things to say. And he'll say to me very often, "Thank you so much for Molly. She makes me laugh." So I was thinking, thank you so much for Chuck. He makes me laugh.
That's true. Super. Yep.
When Trish and I were first dating, I told her that I felt like that I had found down in Arkansas, there's a place where you can dig for diamonds. There's a place down there that if you know that they're there and you can look for them. You know, I felt like that Trish was this uncut diamond that no one else had noticed. You know, that was down there that just nobody found her, and I could see her potential, and I feel like as we've grown together, you know, all the rough edges are being taken off, and the light's just brilliant coming out of her now. You know,
Your race
we've
car
grown.
nest is probably chipping some of it.
That's right. That's right.
That's true. Well, in fact, when I thought of that, are those the Arkansas diamonds, or are these the real diamonds?
Oh, they're real.
These are the real ones, because I know there's that thing, that zirconium thing that you can get down there. We're talking the real thing.
And they've proven that this is an area. This is an area that they have a tremendous number of them there. You know, and but they're, and you know, you can find a big stone. And
I could have asked her, did that affect you? Did you appreciate that?
Not much.
Yeah,
that's great. Anyone else?
Do you mind if I share another one?
Yeah, right. Go ahead.
When Curry and I were dating, I remember discussing with her, you know, where we were going and what our plans were or were going to be, and some of the things that had happened. We discussed our past, you know, our lives and what had happened, and I remember referring to her as a flower that had, you know, that was that maybe was a little bit not, I don't want to say damaged, but that needed a little bit of help, and you know, I wanted to do that. You know, I wanted to bring that out in her, and the flower part of it reminded me of her. So
when things are in harmony and when we're really getting along and things are really clicking, didn't happen for a long time, but it reminds me of it's a soothing effect of, like when we're at San Diego and we're walking on that beach and that ocean's coming in. There's nothing more soothing in this world to me than the ocean, and that's what you give to me in Phoenix, is the ocean. So
I think of us as I've always loved music boxes and the little dancers on top, and the man is holding the woman. They're going around and they're dancing to the beautiful music. We have the music and we dance together.
10 years ago, what was that box like?
it broke. I threw it.
Okay, well, I tell you. Well, we could go into intimacy is sort of what we're doing here, because you're going deeper into expressing feelings. Intimacy is when you share word pictures about who you are and what you're feeling as an individual, and those can bring tears, without exception. And so, I just feel like, as couples, as you practice these, as you see the emotions here, the same emotions can be in your own home. And I don't think a lot of times we realize how deeply we feel things when word pictures are used. So I just encourage you to continue it, and I know they will improve and encourage your relationship. Okay, this is one of my favorite sessions because it's really special to our family, especially, and I've seen it work so many times in families across the world. What does it take to be a close-knit family? Now, I know there are a number of things that you can do, but there's one thing in specific that we can do that I have found works almost instantly. And the way I found this was doing my own research, because we were not close as a family when I was growing up, so I didn't want the same kind of family. So I wanted to reverse some of the bad habits that I'd learned naturally and find out what does it take to have the right kind of marriage and family and friendships and so on. So here's part of the way this works. Now, keeping in mind, if we review here for a moment, if we close a person's spirit while we're doing this activity that we'll talk about, then it could do harm. It doesn't cause us to be close. So there are a number of other factors that enter in here, but that closed spirit causes us to not be close friends. Open spirit gives us the basis of being able to be really close. But when we do something specific, it's amazing what it does. Here's what happened. I decided to interview couples that I could meet all over the country
that seemed to be really in love, and their kids were all